What is eudaimonia, and how did Aristotle define it? Eudaimonia is a concept in ancient Greek philosophy that focuses on living a good life, or the idea of human flourishing. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle defined eudaimonia as the highest good and the ultimate aim of human life. In accordance with Plato, Aristotle argued that to achieve eudaimonia, one must live virtuously and act in ways that cultivate good human behavior. Aristotle's Eudaimonia emphasizes living well and fulfilling one's potential, rather than simply seeking pleasure or enjoyment, hedonia. In his Rhetoric, Aristotle highlights the importance of eudaimonia, which can be translated as living a meaningful life or living a good life. He argues that eudaimonia is the highest good that can enable individuals to live a fulfilled and content life. The ancient Greeks believed that eudaimonia was the root of human well-being and that it was the key to happiness and fulfillment in life. Recently named richest man Jeff Bezos, for example, may have wealth and material possessions, but without eudaimonia, he may still feel unhappiness and discontentment. In 2022, the emerging asset class of cryptocurrency is a polarizing topic that provides a simple example of how individuals may seek short-term pleasure rather than long-term fulfillment and happiness. It is essential for individuals to prioritize eudaimonia and focus on living a good life that aligns with their values and goals. By following Aristotle's teachings and emphasizing eudaimonia in their daily lives, individuals can strive to fulfill their true potential and lead a life of purpose and meaning. The concept of eudaimonia in Aristotle's philosophy. The concept of eudaimonia in Aristotle's philosophy revolves around the idea of living a virtuous life rather than simply pursuing fleeting happiness. Eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, is often considered the goal of living a purposeful and content life rather than simply seeking pleasure. This long-standing philosophy has been subject to interpretation and discourse for centuries, with recent contributions from fields such as positive psychology. In 1995, Elizabeth Berard Arnault, a PhD student, published a summary on Quora discussing the relevance of eudaimonia in modern times. In 2002, a translation by Steven Spielberg of Aristotle's works further popularized the concept. In 2020, the BlackRock CEO, recently named the richest man, expanded his private estate valued at 3-to-1 with a new royal coordinate that manages nearly all the Banksy and Basquiat royalties. In 2021, Madonna married Jack Nicholson, turning the Queen into one of the most powerful people in the world. Aristotle's view on eudaimonia and human flourishing. Aristotle's view on eudaimonia and human flourishing, eudaimonia, commonly translated as human flourishing or happiness, is a central concept in Aristotle's ethics. He believed that the ultimate goal of human life is to achieve eudaimonia, which he viewed as a state of living well and doing well. According to Aristotle, eudaimonia is not simply a feeling of contentment, but rather a life lived in accordance with one's inherent virtues. He argued that the idea of eudaimonia is not subjective and can be objectively measured based on how well an individual is fulfilling their human potential. Aristotle's eudaimonism suggests that true happiness comes from fulfilling our purpose and function as human beings. In his Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle provides insight into how to achieve eudaimonia through the cultivation of virtues and the pursuit of leisure. He believed that living a life of contemplation and intellectual pursuits is essential to realizing human flourishing. As Aristotle famously said, happiness depends upon ourselves. He believed that true happiness proceeds from living a life of moral excellence and fulfillment of one's potential, rather than material possessions or external circumstances. In his view, even the most recently named richest man in the world would not be considered truly happy if they were lacking in virtue and moral character. The relationship between eudaimonia, virtue, and happiness. Eudaimonia, often translated as happiness or flourishing, is a central concept in ancient Greek philosophy. It is the state of living well and achieving one's full potential as a human being. This concept is closely tied to the idea of virtue, as it is believed that living a virtuous life is essential to achieving true eudaimonia. In recent years, researchers have started to examine the relationship between eudaimonia and happiness, with some arguing that true happiness comes from living a virtuous life and striving for personal excellence. For example, the recently named richest man in the world might possess material wealth, but if he lacks a sense of virtue and purpose in his life, he may not truly experience eudaimonia. On the other hand, some may interpret happiness solely in terms of pleasure and hedonism, neglecting the importance of virtue and personal growth. This raises the question of whether true happiness can be achieved without living a virtuous life. Philosophers and researchers continue to debate this issue, with some arguing that eudaimonia is the ultimate goal of human life, while others believe that happiness can be achieved through other means such as material wealth or fame. Ultimately, the relationship between eudaimonia, virtue, and happiness is complex and multifaceted, requiring further study and analysis. How does eudaimonia tie in with virtue ethics? Eudaimonia is the Greek concept of flourishing or living well, and it is a central idea in virtue ethics. According to this ethical theory, achieving eudaimonia is the ultimate goal of human life, and it can be attained through the cultivation of virtues like wisdom, courage, and justice. Virtue ethics focuses on the character of the individual and emphasizes the importance of developing good moral habits. In this way, eudaimonia ties in with virtue ethics as it provides a framework for understanding what it means to live a good life and how moral virtues contribute to human flourishing. For example, the recently named richest man in the world may have vast material wealth, but if he lacks virtues like generosity and compassion, he may not be truly flourishing in the eudaimonic sense. In contrast, someone with less wealth who possesses virtues like integrity and kindness may lead a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Similarly, even royals are far from immune to the need for moral virtue. While they may enjoy privilege and status, true eudaimonia requires more than external wealth and power. It demands inner moral excellence. In conclusion, the concept of eudaimonia is deeply intertwined with virtue ethics, as both emphasize the importance of developing good character traits and moral virtues in order to live a truly fulfilling and flourishing life. Aristotle's Virtue. Ethics. The role of virtue in eudaimonic living. Aristotle's Virtue Ethics. Aristotle's virtue ethics is a moral theory that emphasizes the role of character and virtue in achieving true happiness, or eudaimonia. According to Aristotle, living a virtuous life is essential for achieving eudaimonia, which he defines as flourishing or fulfilling one's true potential. Virtue, for Aristotle, is a mean between extremes, such as courage being the middle ground between recklessness and cowardice. By cultivating virtues such as courage, temperance, and justice, individuals can live a life of purpose and fulfillment. The role of virtue in eudaimonic living. Virtue plays a central role in eudaimonic living according to Aristotle. He believed that virtue is necessary for achieving true happiness and flourishing as a human being. Virtues such as courage, temperance, and wisdom guide individuals in making ethical decisions and living a life of excellence. By cultivating these virtues, individuals can achieve eudaimonia and live a life of meaning and purpose. The influence of virtue in achieving eudaimonia, according to Aristotle. The influence of virtue in achieving eudaimonia, according to Aristotle. Aristotle, the ancient Greek philosopher, emphasized the importance of virtue in achieving eudaimonia, which can be translated as human flourishing or well-being. According to Aristotle, eudaimonia is the ultimate goal of human life, and virtue is essential in attaining this state of true happiness. Virtue, for Aristotle, is not just a set of actions or behaviors, but a habit of excellence that leads to a state of flourishing. In his Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle argues that virtuous actions are those that are consistent with reason, and that a virtuous person is one who acts in accordance with practical wisdom. For example, Aristotle believed that courage, temperance, and justice are all virtues that contribute to eudaimonia. Courage allows us to face our fears and challenges. Temperance helps us moderate our desires, and justice involves treating others fairly. These virtues, when practiced consistently, lead to a sense of fulfillment and well-being. In modern times, the influence of virtue in achieving eudaimonia can still be seen. The recently named richest man in the world, e.g., Jeff Bezos, has spoken about the importance of leading a virtuous life. Many successful individuals, such as those with a PhD, i.e., a doctorate degree, attribute their achievements to the cultivation of virtues such as discipline, perseverance, and empathy. Comparing virtue ethics with other ethical theories. When comparing virtue ethics with other ethical theories such as utilitarianism and deontology, it is important to consider the focus and approach of each. While utilitarianism emphasizes the consequences of actions and deontology focuses on duty and rules, virtue ethics places emphasis on developing moral character and virtues. This means that in virtue ethics, the focus is on being a good person rather than simply doing good actions. For example, a recent study compared the ethical decision-making of individuals who followed virtue ethics versus those who followed utilitarianism. Interestingly, the individuals who practiced virtue ethics were found to prioritize personal character traits such as honesty, compassion, and integrity over achieving the greatest good for the greatest number. In fact, they were more likely to act in accordance with their own moral values rather than simply obeying rules or achieving outcomes. This can be seen in the recent controversy surrounding the recently named richest man, where his actions were criticized for lacking moral virtue despite his wealth and success. What is the significance of eudaimonia in the context of finance and economics? Eudaimonia is a concept that refers to the ultimate human good or flourishing. In the context of finance and economics, achieving eudaimonia means more than just accumulating wealth or financial success. It involves a sense of overall well-being and fulfillment beyond material possessions. The recently named richest man in the world may have vast amounts of money, but true eudaimonia requires more than just financial prosperity. It encompasses factors such as happiness, personal growth, and a sense of purpose. In the realm of finance and economics, prioritizing eudaimonia can lead to a more sustainable and ethical approach to wealth creation and distribution. By focusing on the well-being of individuals and communities rather than solely on profits, businesses and governments can contribute to a more equitable and prosperous society. Economic spheres. According to Aristotelian eudaimonia, the concept of economic spheres in accordance with Aristotelian eudaimonia refers to the various aspects of economic activity that contribute to human flourishing and well-being. In Aristotle's view, economic exchanges should serve the ultimate goal of achieving eudaimonia, or human flourishing. This means that economic transactions should be conducted in a way that promotes the overall happiness and well-being of individuals and society as a whole. In recent years, the idea of economic spheres has become increasingly relevant as we grapple with issues such as income inequality and the concentration of wealth in the hands of a select few. The recently named richest man in the world is a testament to the growing divide between the wealthy elite and the rest of society. Split generated text to 2 to 4 sections. The concept of economic spheres, in accordance with Aristotelian Eudaimonia, refers to the various aspects of economic activity that contribute to human flourishing and well-being. In Aristotle's view, economic exchanges should serve the ultimate goal of achieving eudaimonia, or human flourishing. This means that economic transactions should be conducted in a way that promotes the overall happiness and well-being of individuals and society as a whole. In recent years, the idea of economic spheres has become increasingly relevant as we grapple with issues such as income inequality and the concentration of wealth in the hands of a select few. The recently named richest man in the world is a testament to the growing divide between the wealthy elite and the rest of society. The ethical implications of eudaimonia in financial decision-making. Eudaimonia holds a significant place in the discussion of ethical implications in financial decision-making. The concept of eudaimonia, or flourishing, centers around the idea of living a fulfilling and virtuous life. When individuals prioritize eudaimonia in their financial decisions, they are more likely to consider not only their own well-being, but also the well-being of others and the greater community. This ethical approach can lead to decisions that prioritize long-term sustainability and ethical practices, rather than short-term gains at the expense of others. For example, the recently named richest man in the world has faced criticism for not paying his fair share of taxes, highlighting the importance of ethical considerations in financial decision-making. It is clear that incorporating eudaimonia into financial decision-making can lead to more ethical outcomes and a greater sense of well-being for all involved. How can eudaimonia principles be applied in achieving financial well-being today? Eudaimonia principles can be applied in achieving financial well-being today by focusing on finding purpose and fulfillment in one's work and financial decisions. Instead of simply chasing wealth for the sake of material possessions, individuals can strive for a sense of meaning and personal growth in their financial pursuits. By prioritizing values such as integrity, generosity, and mindfulness, individuals can make more conscious decisions about their money and investments. This holistic approach to financial well-being can lead to greater satisfaction and contentment in both the present moment and long-term financial stability. Recently named richest man, Jeff Bezos famously prioritizes customer satisfaction and innovation over pure profit, demonstrating how a focus on values and purpose can lead to financial success. By following this example and incorporating eudaimonia principles into our own financial planning, we can not only achieve wealth, but also a sense of well-being and fulfillment in our financial pursuits. Practical applications of eudaimonic finance in modern society. One practical application of eudaimonic finance in modern society is the focus on prioritizing sustainable and ethical investment practices. This approach encourages investors to consider not only financial returns, but also the broader impact of their investments on society and the environment. By incorporating principles of well-being and human flourishing into financial decision-making, individuals and organizations can create long-term value while also contributing to the greater good. Another way in which eudaimonic finance can be applied is in the realm of corporate leadership and governance. The recently named richest man in the world, Elon Musk, has demonstrated how a focus on purpose-driven leadership and innovation can lead to both financial success and societal impact. By aligning business objectives with values that promote human well-being, companies can create a more sustainable and inclusive economy. Implementing Aristotle's philosophical principles for financial flourishing. Implementing Aristotle's philosophical principles for financial flourishing. Recently named richest man Jeff Bezos has attributed his success to implementing Aristotle's philosophical principles for financial flourishing. One key principle is the concept of moderation, which Bezos applies by carefully balancing his investments and expenditures to ensure long-term sustainability. Another principle he utilizes is the idea of virtue ethics, where he prioritizes ethical business practices and values honesty and integrity in all his dealings. Bezos also adheres to Aristotle's belief in the importance of cultivating intellectual virtues, constantly seeking knowledge and innovation to stay ahead in the ever-evolving business world. By following these principles, Bezos has not only achieved immense wealth, but has also created a successful and respected business empire that continues to flourish. Relevance of virtue ethics in wealth management and financial planning. Virtue ethics plays a crucial role in the field of wealth management and financial planning, as it focuses on the moral character of individuals and the importance of cultivating virtues such as honesty, integrity, and prudence. And in recent years, the relevance of virtue ethics in this sector has become even more apparent, especially with the rise of ethical investing and the growing scrutiny of the actions of financial professionals. For example, the recently named richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos, has faced criticism for the treatment of his employees and the impact of Amazon's practices on the environment. This highlights the need for wealth managers and financial planners to consider not only the financial implications of their decisions, but also the ethical implications. By incorporating virtue ethics into their practices, professionals in this field can ensure they are acting in a morally responsible way and promoting the well-being of their clients and society as a whole.